Believe it or not, the SNES has a new physical game. It's incredible, isn't it, that new games are coming out for a system that was discontinued about 24 years ago. But yeah, this new game is Attack of the PETSCII Robots. It's on a multitude of other platforms, and now it's landed on the SNES. And for once, it's not just limited to the US either. They went ahead and released it for PAL territories as well. So, what's the game like? How does it play? And more importantly, how does the PAL version fare? Hello fellow gamers, and come with me if you want to live. This is Doom, as played on the Super Nintendo. Sporting the Super FX2 chip, it was released here in the UK nearly 28 years ago, in October of 1995. This is the newest physical title that I have for my SNES. Or should I say, it was. One day I was minding my own business and out of nowhere there was an announcement that Attack of the PETSCII Robots was being released physically for the SNES. And even better, there's going to be a PAL release as well. So to cut a long story short, about 2 weeks later, I had the latest physical release for Nintendo's 16-bit console in my grubby British hands. So, what is this game all about? Well, to quote its description on Steam, Attack of the PETSCII Robots is a strategy and exploration game. Your goal is to infiltrate settlements and destroy all of the robots inhabiting them. There are 13 levels to choose from with 3 difficulty settings and a number of different weapons you can use, provided you can find them. You need to go exploring and searching crates and desks and cabinets and such, where you can sometimes find weapons, health packs, keycards for opening doors, and other tools such as magnets and EMPs that you can use to good effect to help eliminate the robots. For example here, I can use a magnet on this robot to disorientate it for a short while, and an EMP on this other one to make it freeze and reboot. In fact, doing this over this indoor pool makes the robot fall in, which destroys it. It's not a game where you go in all guns blazing, but rather, you need to think tactfully. Explore your surroundings, learn where weapons and tools are, and use them carefully to clear out each settlement. There's no one way of clearing a level. And I must say, I have been enjoying it. I'm only like a couple of levels through it so far, but it seems clear to me that a lot of thought has been put into the construction of this game. The many different maps available to you, searching boxes, tables and cabinets for items, the various different robots that present themselves, and the different ways in which you can destroy them. It's all very well put together. It's not a game that you can just play lazily, but at the same time, it's not one where you need a degree from the University of Cambridge in order to complete it. So where on earth did this game come from? Well, Attack of the PETSCII Robots is the brainchild of David Murray, aka longtime YouTuber, The 8-Bit Guy. He does a lot of coverage of old computers and decided one day to see how challenging it would be to create a game for the Commodore PET, a computer produced back in the late 70s which had absolutely no graphics modes whatsoever. The end result was Attack of the PETSCII Robots, PETSCII being a portmanteau of the computer's name and the character set used to create the graphics, and used as a play on words for pesky if you hadn't already noticed. He quickly ported the game to other old Commodore computers, and then other developers came forward to offer to port the game to other platforms as well. As a result, the game is now available on 18 different platforms, the SNES version being the latest. In fact, I've been wanting to get a hold of a copy of this game for quite a while now. So if the game has been around for some time, why'd I wait until now to get a copy? Well, there are a few reasons for that. But in short, I'm one of those people who prefers to play games on their original hardware using their native media wherever possible. And yes, while I can emulate all of these, it's just not the same experience as playing it on real hardware. I don't own a lot of these systems, so many of them are ruled out straight away. I do have an Amiga, but I haven't booted it up in ages, so I'm not sure if it still works. I really should check on that. The PSP version is digital only, which I can understand, and we can wave goodbye to the Sega version because it likely won't work on a Mega Drive. So that leaves us with the newly announced SNES version, which I ordered as soon as it was announced. And I was surprised actually to find that a digital copy was included with this as well. This at least gave me the opportunity to try this version of the game before the physical cartridge arrived. It also meant that I was able to get the grips with the NTSC copy to give me a nice benchmark to compare the PAL version against. I also went ahead and tried the original PET shareware one on my PC, and even gave the shareware Amiga copy a whirl as well, the one that the SNES port is based upon. In fact, here I am playing it on my A500 Mini. I wanted to try both of these so that I had a better understanding of the game itself and see firsthand how the game has evolved since its inception. And after having tried those other versions, I can now tell that the SNES port has been rather nicely done. There's a fresh new UI overlay compared to the other versions, which I do appreciate. The Amiga graphics have been faithfully brought across, and there's also a fresh new audio track as well, which I've got to admit, I do prefer over the Amiga port. The in-game map is a nice surprise too. It uses what looks like Mode 7 scaling. You can zoom in and out using the shoulder buttons, and the map scales in and out really smoothly. It would have been nice if the gameplay on the SNES version ran smoother, because I know it's more than capable of doing that, but at the same time, this tile-by-tile movement keeps it faithful to the original. So anyway, by this point, the physical cart had arrived, and now that I've got more experience with the game, let's see how the PAL version stacks up. Now, it's important that we check the PAL version because historically, people in the UK and in some other regions as well have had to deal with squished video and slower running games because developers often didn't bother optimizing them for our tellies. Now, some did optimize them for us, so they were full screen and full speed, but sadly, this practice wasn't widespread. So is this still true today? Let's find out. For the sake of transparency, I'll tell you all the setup I'm using to check this. I have here a UK SNES. It's not a one-chip model, by the way, so the picture quality, it won't be as good as one of those. It's connected to my OSSC line doubler via an RGB SCART cable, and this is then connected via HDMI to my TV. Upon firing up the PAL version, I could tell straight away that it was full screen rather than letterboxed. It won't appear as if it's full screen here because of the scaling of my OSSC, but comparing it to other PAL games on the same system makes that very clear to see. It is full screen. The music appears to be running at the correct speed as well. You should be hearing it now. Oftentimes the music on a PAL game, as well as the gameplay, will be slower, so it's nice to hear this at the right speed. So now, onto the gameplay itself. Now, since this is a game where everything moves from tile to tile, it's hard to initially gauge whether it is running slower than the NTSC version. So I adopted a simple test. Find a spot on the map where I can walk in a straight line for as long as possible, and then measure how long that takes for both versions. This path along the top of the first level should suffice. The NTSC version, as played on my RG35XX, took 7.85 seconds to get from start to finish. And the PAL version? 9.43. Ugh. Some simple maths confirmed my fears. This is running 20% slower. It's such a shame too. It's full screen, the music is running at the correct speed, but the gameplay itself is slower. Would it have hurt to speed the gameplay up a bit? In this day and age, those of us in PAL regions are still being shortchanged. I'm still glad I picked up this copy though. Other than the slower gameplay, it works well on my UK SNES, and it's a nice little collectible too. But it is a real shame that the game still runs 20% slower. I would have hoped that this would have been optimised for those of us running games in 50Hz. Another downside of this physical copy in particular, and I completely understand the reason behind it, is that this didn't come with a box. I mean, I knew all of this going in, of course, it's outlined on the shop, but it's still unfortunate. As far as I know, every other physical release included a box, and it's such a bummer that the SNES version, of all versions, doesn't come with one. And I completely understand why though. I mean, David wants to focus his attention on newer projects such as the Commander X16, and I imagine building the boxes for these takes quite a long time. So yeah, I completely get it, and in fact I'd probably do the same in his shoes. That's why I'm not going to chew him up about it. I think I might go ahead and make my own box for this though, if there are no objections. In conclusion, the SNES version itself is a very nice part of the original game. It has the enhanced Amiga graphics and an excellent, uniquely sounding soundtrack to boot. And it's great that physical carts are being made for this, but if you're wanting to get one of these for your PAL SNES, the cart itself is really just going to be more of a collector's piece, as it brings with it that typical 50Hz slowdown. But with that, I'm heading off, so thanks very much for watching. Have you tried Attack of the PETSCII Robots? If so, which version did you go for, and how do you rate it? Let everyone know down below in the comments. And hey, while you're down there, a like for the video is always appreciated, and there's always that subscribe button if you want to hear more from me. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.